it's Kate from LoveStory checking in today, Monday, November 9th. Today's reading quote comes from, once again, Joan Didion, and it's from her book, The White Album, and the essay, The Women's Movement. The quote was read by me in 2013 and says, "The half-truths repeated authenticated themselves." And this is like mansplaining, half-truths, very applicable to this day and age. My current read, still reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm really enjoying this self-help ebook. It's one of the better self-help books that I've read. And at one point in the book that I just read, I think was yesterday, he writes that there was a scientific study done that showed taxi drivers have a larger hippocampus, the part that remembers, than non-taxi drivers. I'm not sure what to do with that, but it was fascinating and I just had to share. I started reading Betty Zane by Zane Grey this weekend, and so, this was my grandfather's book, and like a lot of the classic old westerns, it's very problematic in that it has so much colonialism talk in it. Of course, the characters are moving westward, which today is now the Midwest, but west to them. And there is a lot of racist names and comments and talk, etc. But as of right now, 1 or 2 chapters in, I'm going to continue reading it as a tribute to my grandpa, whose birthday is this month. Another note in chapter 2, I appreciate the point of view of the brother, I think his name is Isaac, who admits that the whites have done the North Americans wrong by coming in and forcing themselves on their land and taking it away from them. So that was a great point of view in a western that we rarely get. Still reading A Passage to India, still loving this. I'll be done with this in the next couple days, as long as Atomic Habits probably, and maybe even Betty Zane. Maybe it'll be a good reading month for me. And I've finally finished reading Mistborn, The Final Empire by Sanderson. I finished that very late last night. I'm exhausted still from it, but I have work today, so I must get up and continue. And I have a separate reading vlog for that, which I'll post here. That's my check-in for today, and I'll check in with y'all again tomorrow. Hey y'all, checking in on Tuesday, November 10th. Happy Tuesday. These are the books I'm currently reading, plus one ebook, Atomic Habits, but we'll get to that in just a second. Today's reading quote comes from The House of Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne. We've heard about this one before. And the quote says, "But the great world clock of time still keeps its beat," which is a great reminder that time goes on. No matter what happens, time moves on and you have no control over it. A little bit depressing, but real, and a great reminder of we all need that every once in a while. So our current reads, Atomic Habits is the ebook that I mentioned I'm reading, and I'm already finding myself thinking, is this a gratifying habit? Is this a good habit or is this a bad habit whenever I go to do anything? And it's made me realize that just about everything I do really is a habit in one way or another, big or small. And so it's making me a little bit more conscious of the habits that I have and whether they're good or bad. And maybe hopefully eventually I'll be able to break those bad habits and make them all good, or most of them good. I think a lot of them are good anyways, but yeah, that's my thoughts on Atomic Habits so far. I'm hope to be done with that very soon. Let's see, Betty Zane, this book is so now we've gotten what I think will be all the classic tropes in this book. The bad Indians, the good white people, put all those in quotes, of course. The enemy to lover trope, which was very fast. The hero soldier, save the day, damsel in distress. And so now Betty and Alfred are now all of a sudden best friends and courting each other, even though in the last chapter she didn't want anything to do with him. But then he apologized once, very quickly, and all of a sudden that was good enough for her, and so she's like, yeah, sure, we can be sweethearts. Brother Isaac has been taken captive yet again, which makes me think if he really maybe just runs away to the Indians and says he was held captive. And then in the chapter that I just started now before I started filming this, we're in Isaac's point of view before he's held captive. I think it's before he's held captive. It doesn't really tell us, which is not great. Makes it a little confusing to read. But now we're in his point of view instead of supposedly like Betty's point of view, I think is what we were in from before. So that's where I'm at there with Betty Zane. I think this might be my only Zane Grey book I read. I have 2 others from my grandpa, but this is just a mess. Does not transfer well to time at all. So A Passage to India, this is still really great writing. I'm still really enjoying this reread by Forster. And so now Aziz has lost Adela in the caves. Then he claimed he saw her go away with Miss Derrick, who just randomly showed up with Mr. Fielding, who had missed the original train to the caves. He was supposed to be part of the whole group. Then the group minus Miss Derrick and Miss Adela arrive back at the train station, and Aziz is arrested, but the cops can't tell him for what, and that's where I left off last night. I can't wait to get back into that. Also hope to finish reading that by the end of this week too, the next couple days. In just a little bit I'll be heading to the library where I'll be getting the book club book, The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah, and hopefully Mistborn book 2. I have that on hold with the library, but I don't know if it'll be ready by the time I get there or not, because I just put it on hold yesterday because I found a physical copy instead of the ebook that I was waiting for. So one definite book will be there for the library, which we'll check in later, and hopefully 2, but we'll see. That's my check-in for now. Like I said, I'll check in later when I'm back from the library, but that's it for now, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye. Hey y'all, happy Wednesday and happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans out there. Thank you for serving, and don't ever forget that at least I appreciate all that you have sacrificed. Veterans are very important in our family. We have many veterans, and also currently serving. Thank you, Adam, cousin Adam. So happy Veterans Day. Thank you for serving if you're a veteran. On with our check-in for today and Wednesday, November 11th. Our reading quote comes from a different book. Yay! This is from, again, still 2013. Like I said, that was a huge reading year for me. But this comes from the book Gilt, which is a historical fiction about Katherine Howard, who was King Henry VIII's 6th wife, the last one that he killed, beheaded, the second to last wife. 5th wife? 5th. I think 5th. I think he had 6 wives total. And this is the one that actually had an affair. It hasn't been proven or not whether Anne Boleyn had an affair or all of the charges against her. But Katherine Howard did have an affair with his steward helper guy. So the quote says, "Wondered if the memory of Anne Boleyn was being erased by the reality of Katherine Howard." And that's, whew, that if you know anything about the history of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn and Katherine Howard and all of his wives, that one will hit you. Also, forgive my appearance. The rain has made all of my joints achy, like I'm a 60-year-old instead of a 35-year-old. And one of the benefits of working from home is that I get to stay in my pajamas all day if I want to. So don't tell my boss, but I'm staying in my pajamas today because I don't feel like getting dressed. Anyways, on with our current reads. So Betty Zane by Zane Grey. So now Isaac has been captured again by the Indians. At first, it sounded to me like it was like a form of tag or hide and go seek, like, ha, we got you again. Oh no, I'm captured again. And then they discovered an Indian chief was killed by the big hunter dude. I forget what his name is. And so now Isaac has this choice. Either they're going to kill him, Isaac, or he has to marry a chief's daughter who's half white. And he already knows her and she already loves him. So this is where I've left Isaac with this choice. A passage to India. So we found out where Adela disappeared to. She actually did run away with Miss Derrick at the caves, and now she's accused Aziz of, quote, insult, which I think is like assault, or maybe rape, in the caves. And that's why Aziz was arrested so quickly, because he's an Indian, and she's a white woman. So just like black and white in the US, it's an instant arrest. And Mr. Fielding just can't believe this. He won't believe it. He refuses to believe it. He's been defending Aziz since he's been arrested, and that's where I left that. So we'll see what happens with that. Excuse me. Last night I started The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. This is the next book club book from my book club at work. And I'm one chapter in through this book, and it's already slightly different than what I had thought it was. So reading the summary, which I will read in a minute because I really loved the book summary on the inside cover. I thought that the narrator was going to be male, like the male adult, but so far, at least in chapter 1, it's a teenage girl. So that was interesting. The inside cover of the summary says Alaska, 1974. So this is a historical fiction book. Unpredictable, unforgiving, untamed. For a family in crisis, the ultimate test of survival. Ernst Albright, a former POW, comes home from the Vietnam War, a changed and volatile man. When he loses yet another job, he makes an impulsive decision. He will move his family north to Alaska, where they will live off the grid in America's last true frontier. 13-year-old Lenny, a girl coming of age in a tumultuous time, caught in the riptide of her parents' passionate, stormy relationship, dares to hope that a new land will lead to a better future for her family. She is desperate for a place to belong. Her mother, Cora, will do anything and go anywhere for the man she loves, even if it means following him into the unknown. At first, Alaska seems to be the answer to their prayers. In a wild, remote corner of the state, they find a fiercely independent community of strong men and even stronger women. The long sunlit days and the generosity of the locals made up for the Albrights' lack of preparation and dwindling resources. But as winter approaches and darkness descends on Alaska, Ernst's fragile mental state deteriorates and the family begins to fracture. Soon the perils outside pale in comparison to threats from within. In their small cabin covered in snow, blanketed in 18 hours of night, Lenny and her mother learn the terrible truth. They are on their own. In the wild, there is no one to save them but themselves. In this unforgettable portrait of human frailty and resilience, Kristin Hannah reveals the indomitable character of the modern American pioneer and the spirit of a vanishing Alaska. A place of incomparable beauty and danger. The Great Alone is a daring, beautiful, stay-up-all-night story about love, loss, and the fight for survival and the wildness that lives in both man and nature. And so I really love that description. It made me want to read this book. And now that I read it again, I'm wondering if we're going to switch narrators throughout and go between like maybe the 3 of them or 2 of them. But so far we've started off with Lenny, the teenage girl. And I'm excited to see where this book will take us. I'm excited to read about Alaska. I loved Call of the Wild, which is actually mentioned in the first chapter. So that is The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah, and you'll recognize her name from The Nightingale that she wrote before this. It is a very popular booktube book, and I haven't read it yet, but I can't wait to read that one also. But anyways, that's my check-in for today, a bit longer than normal, but a lot of good notes. Oh, also one last thing, Atomic Habits, the ebook I'm reading. So some things that I appreciate in this book. James Clear, who's the author, will give extreme examples to prove his point, but then also write that these are extreme, so the reader doesn't think they have to go that far to make a change. And another thing that I really appreciate is that he also mentions that these are just examples, and not every strategy will work for everyone, and some don't even work for him. So he's giving us, the readers, lots of different examples so that we can find the ones that work for us, and I really appreciate that, and that he points that out in his writing. But anyways, that's my check-in for now, Wednesday, November 11th, and we'll see you all later. Have a great day. Keep reading. Bye. Hello and happy Thursday, November 12th. So today's reading quote comes again from Joan Didion, but I just love it. It's about her essay about Georgia O'Keeffe, the painter, and it's in the book The White Album. The quote says, it's actually a quote from Georgia O'Keeffe. I believe to create one's own world in any of the arts takes courage. And that's so true, and I just love it. Current reads, Atomic Habits. So, a couple notes first, and then I will give a very quick review because I finished it yesterday. So, James Clear, the author, says, stick with it every day, which reminds me of when people ask how I can read so much. First of all, I read every day, even if it's just for a couple minutes at night before bed. I make sure to read something every day. This year it's been easier because my job is less busy and I'm working from home thanks to the pandemic, but I always make sure, so I spend a lot of time sitting at my desk reading. But I always make sure to read at least a little bit, at least a couple pages every day. And number two is I look at reading as enjoyment, relaxation, leisure, and also learning, and I love to learn. So for me, it's exciting and I love it. So like I said, I finished Atomic Habits yesterday, and I'll give a review on that later today, which I'll link here because it'll come out before this video comes out. And because I finished that, I'm starting on another ebook, Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. I'll be starting that today, and that's recommended by the Novel Cure for Nausea, and so it's one of my bibliotherapy books. And I just wanted to read off two quick passages from the Novel Cure talking about Brideshead Revisited and Evelyn Waugh's writing and why they recommend it for nausea. So the first quote says, it's about the book itself, and it says, "This prose is a dance, and Waugh is the graceful, accomplished partner whisking us across the floor." The authors write that this book and this author is so good at giving you that equilibrium that you need when you're nauseous and you're dizzy. And he just brings you back to ground, settles you back down in his writing, and it's a calming read. And then the last sentence in this entry about nausea in Brideshead Revisited says, "Thanks therefore be to nausea, his and yours, and to Evelyn Waugh for making everything better." So I can't wait to start reading Brideshead Revisited. I know this is a classic that a lot of people have read either in school or on their own, and it's one that I've been wanting to read for a long time, so I can't wait to start that very soon today. Still reading A Passage to India, and now Fielding thinks that it might have been the guide that insulted or assaulted Adela, and she just thought it was Aziz because, you know, one of the classic American views portrayed in writing about other cultures is that they all looked the same, so she thought it was Aziz because he looked like Aziz, but maybe it wasn't Aziz to begin with. And yesterday I started The Great Alone, as you know, by Kristin Hannah, and from the little that I know of Alaska, it seems like Hannah has captured the wild Alaska so well, and I can't wait to keep reading this book because I love the scenery, if anything. So that's my quick check-in for today. Like I said, check my review of Atomic Habits down below or up in the cards. And I will check in with you all again tomorrow on Friday. Have a great day. Hey y'all, it's Kate from checking in on Friday, November 13th, Friday the 13th. Of course, 2020 will not let us get away without another Friday the 13th. So hopefully everything goes okay for y'all today. This is going to be a very quick check-in. I'm at work. No one's here, but I just want to get to reading and planning my TBR for 2021, which I will be posting a video this weekend about that coming up. So today's reading quote actually comes from Catching Fire, from the Hunger Games trilogy. And I didn't think I had read this book before, but apparently I did, and I read it enough that I wrote down at least one quote from it. And just like all the other quotes, this quote comes from 2013 when I read it. And it says, "The sadness, the marks of angry hands on their faces, the hopelessness that curled their shadows forward." So 2013 was a really great year. So great, I don't even remember reading books. Our current reads are still the same. The Great Alone, which I've brought to work today with me. Brideshead Revisited, just started that yesterday. And Betty Zane and A Passage to India. And the only note I have for that is, so now that Miss Alstead, or no, I think it's Adela, is feeling better, Aziz can now be granted bail. So now he's set free. We still don't know who committed the crime, but Aziz can be set free now, so that's a good thing. And Fielding has also quit the British club in India because they were all against Aziz, and he believed Aziz was innocent. So that's my quick check-in for now. Look for more videos later, and I will check in with y'all again soon. Have a great day and keep reading. Bye. Hey y'all, happy Saturday, November 14th. We made it through yet another week. Congratulations, happy weekend. Today's reading quote comes from In Cold Blood. I read this again in 2013. Don't know where 19 came from, but the quote says, "But things unspoken were the center of interest," and this is so true and so much in life. People are always wondering what wasn't said instead of what actually was said. So that just stood out to me with truth. These are some of my current reads again, still. The ebook I'm reading right now is Brideshead Revisited, and I actually didn't get a lot of reading done last night because I just could not concentrate on anything when I got home from the office, so we watched some of a show instead. But I'm just started Brideshead Revisited this week, so very slow progress on that, but more to come on that soon, hopefully. The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah, still working on that. For book club, really enjoying this, trying to get to know Alaska and the people that live way out in the wild in Alaska. And it actually is going to play well into a reading vlog I'm going to be doing in a collaboration with some of the Shelf Space folks in February on transportation vlogs, so that is exciting to come. Still reading A Passage to India. I hope to be done with that within the next couple days, hopefully by the end of this week, but if not, maybe Monday or Tuesday. And the reason why this one is going so slow, I think, is not because of the writing. I'm really enjoying the writing and the story, actually. But a lot of the chapters are really short chapters, and the way I read is I read a chapter at a time. So I'll read one chapter of one book and then move on to a chapter of another book. Because they're a lot shorter chapters than some of the other books, it's taking me longer to get through because of the way I read. And then lastly is Betty Zane by Zane Grey. And so far in this book, I am at the point where Isaac was being burned at the stake by this Indian tribe that he was captured by. But then he was saved by the Indian princess and the tribe that he escaped from. And now he's apparently taking her home to his family to get married. So that's where we're at now. I'm going to count this as finished in this reading vlog because my goal is to finish this today, and I'm less than 100 pages to the end. So I'm going to count it as finished and hold myself accountable. If I don't report by tomorrow or Monday on a review, y'all can hold me to account however you want. But I'm going to count this as finished. So that's 2 books finished this week. And that's my check-in for now. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you've already subscribed, don't forget to hit that notification button so you know when our new videos come out. And we'll see y'all next time. Keep reading.